Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
And we've been expanding, I think we mentioned it the last time, of this thing called NAVCHETNA, where we're actually introducing drug education into the schools. The curriculum. So now it is up and running. So we've done things in Himachal Pradesh, in Kashmir, in Jammu, Punjab, Haryana was just about 2 weeks ago. So this is being very well received by the teachers, by the students, but we're still having quite a few issues with the Ministry for Social Justice in terms of really rolling it out in a way that we can get down to the district level. So it's with the SERTs, which are sort of what we're doing with the master training programs. But this is all really getting into, let's raise the profile of drug education with young people from standard 6, so they're usually 12, to basically standard 11. So it's a good wide range of children.
Himachal and J&K and other places, what type of schools are you going into? Are these public schools? Are these private schools?
Government schools. This program is for the government schools. But in about another 3 weeks, Rotary International in Mumbai have invited us down with a whole range of another target audience group of counsellors, people involved in drug issues, etc. So they wish to also roll it out into the schools of Mumbai. So we're actually now trying to just reach out to anybody who wishes to have this education. Clearly the government are wanting government schools, but other schools in the private sector are also saying, could we also have this? So it's a work in process, but I would really love to see this rolled out in the country.
So much is different and changed in a good way over the last year. Of course, the input we received from the last visit was important for us. One is, my office in the United States has worked with the Department of Education and Secretary, and we just released a entire thing signed by him and me to go to all the schools in the United States, which is very similar to this, but not as comprehensive, but it's. Second, we've done some similar education work with Mexico. So the prevention curricula for Mexico and the United States, we're trying to focus together on, especially Spanish-speaking population. Third, earlier this year, the United States launched a global coalition against synthetic drugs, of which India is a huge part, and it is leading a lot of the work. And I think something like this could be a really important part of the public health arm to share with. Now we have 120 countries and international organizations like WHO, and this is something we had talked about last time. So to use that fora. To share this information and the work would be great. So that gets to much more international audience, and then us, of course, working with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment.
It is fitting in with an Indian context, so you don't need electricity, you don't need PowerPoints. So a lot of countries in the world are in similar situations, because as soon as you get out of the metro cities, but even in a metro city, sometimes we can have a blackout, like in Haryana, we were doing things there. So we don't rely on any of those sort of like high-tech equipment. And there are multiple countries that are similar situations. So collaborations and sort of, this is really an opportunity.
NCB has the platform, and you have Dr. Ambekar and others work closely with NCB, has a platform now to use this. Of course, countries can customize it to their need, but you got the framework ready to go.
And this is also digitalized. Like every activity has a digital video.
Absolutely.
And the ministry says 1 million teacher and 50 million students. We are going to reach out in next 2 years.
Factually, what's the barriers?
I'll say.
Yes.
Okay.
See, the barriers are that still people are not comfortable that we need this, because people are in denial. The system has not accepted that the drug is a problem. And unfortunately, last year and a half, and I'm sure your data also says, the chemical drug among young population has gone up. And unfortunately, it is all because of the large number of students were exposed also to the internet and online study, so that helped them to also penetrate in the new world. And in SPYM we have, like, every week we receive 2-3 calls from a very senior officers, police officers, professors, kids, those who are in chemical drug. So they are in denial, but they have also started experiencing it. But how to come out from that denial, that's a big challenge. Challenge two, every state wants this in their local language. Unfortunately, till now, we have only in English and Hindi. Ministry of Social Justice till date has not funded a single child center in the country.
Yeah.
So people are in denial, and Professor Atul's report says around 9 million kids are now in a dependency. So where these 9 million kids will go? And they are making more and more, because that's the 2018. Now we are in end of 2023.
Right.
So the country as a whole is still in denial. You know, the question what was why people are not taking it. And drug is a family affair. We will not disclose it to anyone unless and until it goes beyond them.
The first reflex response many authorities have for drug problems, particularly among young people, is one which is dominated by the law enforcement. Oh, there are drug problems in schools or among children? Let's have a policeman check everything around the schools. Let's have very strict vigil. Let's check the school bags of our kids and so on.
So we in the United States, same thing. You know, we did the same exact thing since 1980s, and now it's in this administration we're coming to an understanding that wasn't a really good way to address the problem. So we're investing. It used to be 90% of the budget went to law enforcement, and 10% to health. And today, our office, $43 billion, 57% goes to health.
Great.
And 43% to law enforcement. So it's been turned around. So I have hope. I guess what I'm saying is there's hope.
Not much hope, because drug is not in no one's agenda. It's no one's agenda.
Yeah.
See, look at the government of India's budget for the drug. They spend less than 50%.
Yeah.
And the moment we'll say anything, then then we will become activists. So that's why we say, okay, we whatever is possible within our limited capacity will deliver. And we are grateful to the person like Professor Atul and his team.
Yeah.
We are also starting with their help. We have a girls' center. We want to convert from girls to a female center where those who are 18 plus also could be accommodated.
So I think on the global coalition front, it may be worthwhile to highlight the factual issues of stigma, of lack of funding, lack of understanding of governments until it's too late.
Right.
And you can definitely use the U.S. example.
Right.
And we're not shy to tell you that use the example of the United States of how we got it wrong. We'll be happy to talk about that.
I can share when President Biden and the Chinese premier, they had a meeting, so local media interviewed me. And I said that, look here, the war started in 1971 by Richard Nixon. And I was there in US in 1988. Large number of young population were on drug. But still people were talking only on war on drug. Unless and until you reduce demand, and the demand reduction can be from the education, what you said, that every child should have courage to say no. And that courage will come only from the skill. That courage will not come from the sermon.
With these books, they were launched by Amit Shah, Home Minister, very senior, very senior, and all the images were there, and it happened in Chandigarh. I feel that if he knew that we have a product that is not being rolled out to address the issues of drugs amongst children, I think he would be quite disturbed. So I think there's something happening. I don't think he's fully aware that there are obstructions.
So he launched it?
He launched it. So that's extremely senior within this country. But I don't believe he fully knows that there's a whole series of options that are not allowing to get it all out in 12. We've already planned for 12 regional languages.
So can we get some extra copies of this?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Young children, whether it starts from tobacco, alcohol, inhalants, and then moving ahead to other drugs. But children do need to be given an opportunity to at least reflect. And we've actually had these, it was piloted in 4 different states before we reached this point. It's been a long, long process.
We've got all the government's intro letters there. It seems like this, the product itself is not controversial.
No, not at all.
It is
Not at
fully
all.
endorsed by the government.
Right, that's what I was saying.
And all governments.
Right. So it's a matter of resource and
Yes.
the will.
And the will.
To get out.
It's the will, because we've seen the reception by the children and by the teachers, because if they don't buy in, it doesn't go anywhere. But when you have enthusiasm from the children through sort of like anonymous evaluations after the classes have been conducted, would you like to continue on with this? And then when you get figures like 90 to 100%, yes, this is a consensus. We wish to do this this is interesting for our life, for our futures, etc. And then we have a thing here also for parents. There's a section there about parents and guardians of children. What do you do under these circumstances? Because most people don't know what to do. They're completely in a void. At least there's also a section there where the teacher, who then becomes the person who knows the information much better than anybody else, has an opportunity to explain it to parents. This is the situation. Don't fall into despair. So it's made in a very basic, simple language that none of the teachers have actually said, we can't understand it, it's too academic.
All credit goes to Ministry of Social Justice. They ensured that this is there in place. Ministry of Social Justice can only provide the fund to the state, but a state has to take the ownership. Because ultimately the kids are with the state, not with the central government. That's one. Number 2, the teachers, those who have been trained, and they have started training the second level teachers, we have started getting the cases. Like in Jammu we have case, in Kashmir we have case, in Himachal we have cases. So what we are now trying to do, and we are also looking for some resource, we have developed one app where all the teachers, those who are part of it, they will be part of this app. The second level teachers will be part of the third level. Is that when a teacher identifies a child, there is a button of help. No, this is again it's a more on what you call a drawing board. So they will press the help button. One of us will contact that teacher with the appointment that when we can call you, and then we will ensure that the child who is in trouble should be provided service.
And we know the results because, I do all the monitoring and evaluation of how it's all
Great work he has
perceived.
done.
But it's sort of someone needs to give them a boot to sort of say, this is for the future of the country. Drugs can undermine the country. And it has undermined many countries. So I think we do need to think about the generation that have been untouched, because a vast majority of children are not using drugs. It is still a minority who are using drugs. But there is a lot of experimentation, which could then go to another chapter. So I think we're interested in that as well.
And let me also acknowledge, of course, from INL, Brian, Rob, they have been supporting us more technically. We had a project which is now just over, that on Sunshine evaluation, and the outcome is very good. Professor Henry Jones, she was the PI. It's very, very positive, and we hope that INL will organize some dissemination in US, because this is for the children 7 to 12 opiate user. World Therapeutic Community has also been helping us to upscale the program of long-term rehabilitation. So this type of support India needs, because how many Professor Atul will be there? Very few. So what we need is upscale the grassroots services and ensure that the quality assurance, destigmatize, and make large number of drug users become marginalized because the family is not ready to cope up with them. So they leave the family.
We'll take some extra copies and we'll make sure what we can do to support the work, the important work. So it's very good.